All right, welcome back to another episode of the IDP Plus podcast. Tonight, I'm joined by Mike Sicoli and Nate Cheatham. How you guys doing?
Good.
Just great, Steve. Just
All
feeling
right.
good. We're pumped.
We're missing the fabulous face of my normal co-host Matt Record on a little vacation this week, so wanted to keep things pumping out. But we have a pretty exciting episode here today for uh, the entrance to our N'Kobe Dean jersey giveaway that we did a couple months back. We were taking entrance to boost up our YouTube page, and we finally crossed 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to everyone who helped us get there, and hopefully new people. We will be doing more of this kind of stuff. So yeah, stick along with us and keep your eyes open for more contests like this, because we like to do fun stuff like this pretty frequently. But we're going to be giving away that jersey tonight along with some other really cool prizes. You guys pumped for that?
Incredibly. I mean, it's something that, listen, we've been talking about this with the IDP guys for some time now. It's been a goal for over a year and I argue 2 years at this point. It's been, talked about in the newsletter week after week after week, and I'm just happy that we're able to reward our wonderful subscribers so much. Very excited for it.
I was getting ready for this episode, and I was like, well, I should probably find where that jersey is. It's been so long that I needed to go hunting, and
we have it.
Here we go.
Show the folks. Yeah.
Let's show it.
Yes. Let's go.
Here we go.
That's a lot of fantasy points right there.
We got Dean, and then we got signature.
Ah, that's a nice looking signature.
We got certificate of authenticity. All of
beautiful.
That
now, Nate, remind me, can I win this?
No, unfortunately not. Only non IDP guys staff can win this thing.
We made sure of that. No rigging process.
I mean, I'm the Philly guy. I kind of want that thing. So to whichever potential subscriber or viewer out there that's going to win, hit me up in the DMs. Maybe we can work something out here.
Kind of like at the expo last year where you made that jersey swap.
I did. I made I won a Patrick Willis jersey at the Fantasy Football Expo at the
from what event?
during the IDP Summit conversation that was going on in one of the expo rooms. So yeah, that was a really great panel discussion. Won it there, came back down to our booth. We were doing our giveaway, which the grand prize there was a TJ Watt jersey. The winner of that, who was hanging around, saw my Willis jersey and asked to trade. I said, why not? Might as well. This person really likes Patrick Willis. Let's make a little swap here. So yeah, that was a really fun little cool moment. So in addition to the Wheel of Wonder, we are going to be talking through a trade that our very own Mr. Sicoli made here earlier in the week, along with some my guys or our guys this year. So just kind of guys that we like to tout and break out, who we are rostering in a lot of dynasty leagues, mostly because this is kind of still dynasty season, right? If anyone's tuning in here, you're a crazy person like us playing doing dynasty and not really the redraft crowd that's woken up yet. So we're going to give you our guys from defensive line and edge rushers, linebackers, and defensive backs. So hoping to have a really fun episode here for you. So we're going to start off by Mike. We got to talk about this trade here that you made. So why don't you tell the people what went down earlier this week with another staff member, by the way?
Yeah, with another one, our amazing Axon Harding, who you guys can follow on Twitter and follow himself. We've been talking about this on off for a little bit now, and ever since the rookie draft, I took linebacker Dion Henley, who went to the Los Angeles Chargers. Fantastic landing spot for him, and somebody I know our wonderful Dynasty Santa here is incredibly high on. If for everyone listening and not watching, that man just gave a toothy nod. So I traded Henley. I took Henley about 5 spots ahead of Dorian Williams, and then a few months later, I always wanted Dorian. I traded him 1-for-1 with Axton to make that 1-for-1 swap that you never see happen. Diane Henley for Dorian Williams. I got Dorian. I'm happy about it.
Little buyer's remorse there, possibly.
Drafters remorse, I would say, but it's all been rectified, right? I mean, I like them similarly as prospects. I thought they were both really good at what they can do, but Dorian Williams to me he made such a huge impression on me in the USC Tulane game. He was all over the place, and while USC still did what they want offensively, because they always do, it wasn't because Dorian Williams' lack of effort or talent, and physical ability is absurd. So I just love the opportunity. I think they both have great dynasty outlooks for long term, but I think Dorian Williams has a much greater shot of making an impact in year one, and that's really what made the difference for me.
Gotcha. So I promise I'm paying attention when I'm looking down here on my phone as I'm checking out.
I have sleeper notifications coming out every second. I got you. There is no harm felt here. I understand.
I wanted to check it out. So I'm checking the prestigious IDPguys.org rankings here, right? Consensus
Very
rankings.
prestigious.
So I was trying to check that out because I'm petrified to do anything else on my computer right now because it stinks and it's old. And if I open another tab, I feel like I'm going to be sounding like I'm coming from a submarine down there. The timely joke there. So we do have Diane Henley is only slightly above Dorian Williams in our rankings. So the 1-for-1 swap, it makes totally sense. So he's in they're only separated by, I can't count exactly, but it's probably barely 12 players. And that's in our overall, including offense, consensus ranking. So even, that's where we rank over 800 players. So even with all that noise, they're only about, eyeballing it here, about 12 players apart, including offensive players. So, pretty much right in the same tier. Totally a personal preference thing. So yeah, maybe like Henley a little bit more coming out, but now you like Williams' situation more. So totally makes sense, right? I talked about them actually, I think both of them, mostly Williams though. Williams was on my fade list of guys that I'm fading, at least for this year. Now I like your long-term outlook. I totally agree. And I think both of them, it's honestly splitting hairs in Dynasty. I think they're both going to be really good maybe in a year or two. For this year, though, I'm a little skeptical only because of the situation is incredibly murky. So we've got Dorian Williams, third-round pick. He was a third-round pick last year, Terrell Bernard. So been with the team for a whole year, learning the system. He was sort of he was basically the Matt Milano backup last year, because I remember when Tremaine Edmonds was out, everyone was scrambling like who's going to get the role, and that ended up actually being Tyrel Dodson. So those two guys, are in the mix here for officially taking over Tremaine Edmonds. So for year one, that's where I just get a little skeptical. I mean, Henley, I'm not even predicting anything almost in year one because he's probably not going to see the field, but we know that. So I get how Dorian Williams is probably more attractive because at least he has a glimmer of hope to see the field. So
yeah, it's interesting because I think you laid it out perfectly there. You look at Diane Henley, it's a very clear route to starting in 2024. I'm still getting used to the years. I've stumbled on that
I know.
in the last few weeks. But it's a very clear route. I mean, Eric Kendricks doesn't have much left in the tank. Kenneth Murray has nothing left in the tank, and that implies it had something to begin with. So he should be starting in next year, even if they bring in somebody else, because he should at the minimum be the linebacker too. But when I look at Dorian Williams, I think you also laid it out a little bit for me there. Terrell Bernard being that bit of a Matt Milano handcuff. Well, Matt Milano's still there, but Tremaine Edmonds isn't. And I'm not that worried about Tyrel Dodson being somebody that keeps Dorian Williams off the field. And it could take time. Like I'm not saying he's going to start week one, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's an injury to one of the starters, Dorian Williams takes it and never looks back. If they falter and week 8 comes around and all of a sudden the bye week comes through and the week after the bye, the rookies take that step forward, maybe that's Dorian Williams and all of a sudden he's a big playoff name. And I like that glimmer of hope combined with a long-term outlook compared to I need an injury for Diane Henley to get on the field. True. I don't need it for Dorian.
Yeah.
So So, Mike, I got to ask more on the strategy side. So, who initiated this trade? Like, did you reach out to Axton? Did Axton reach out to you? Like, what started this whole thing?
Okay. So, situation here, right? So, I'm sitting at the bar. I'm sitting at the bar. This is
Drunken trades
I'm
are our
22 years old. I
favorite.
can say this. I can do this. I was sitting down. All right. And instead of, I don't know, going over to the dance floor, I pick up my phone. I go on Sleeper. You know how it is. And I want Dorian Williams, man. I have been such a fan of Dorian Williams ever since he was a pre-draft prospect. And I've been trying to get him off Axton for months. So I sent him a trade. It was a few offensive pieces that I don't value that much. It was like Gus Edwards and something else for Dorian Williams and a third for Dorian Williams straight up. And he responded to me, what about Diane Henley? Straight up, 1-for-1. And I was like, I might regret this in the morning, but let's swing for the fences here. And I have no regrets. I'm still very, very excited about what Dorian Williams can do. I believe in terms of just sheer athleticism, it almost, he really does remind me of Tremaine Edmonds. He has the size, he has the range, he has the tackling ability. And Tremaine Edmonds, he was a frustrating player early on, but I just think Dorian Williams is a little bit more polished as a run stuffer. Everything else we'll see. Henley is obviously a better player in coverage, in my opinion, but in terms of what the Bills have asked their linebackers to do in recent years, I think Dorian Williams can do that.
Gotcha. Okay, so now you mentioned that you started off with some offensive pieces, and it just kind of happened into this 1-to-1. But for some of our some of the listeners, sorry, I say our listeners. It's been a few years since I've been
we're gonna get to that.
Just for some of the listeners out there that might not be super well versed in identifying like offensive pieces to trade for IDP pieces, how do you go about valuing and what was in your mind when you're thinking of those guys that you started it off with?
It's difficult. I will say it's a very tricky process to figure out, and it's something I've still been walking that tightrope for a year now. But I've come to work around being startup value, especially when dynasty things. I think about where they would go in startups relative to each other because they're still being drafted together. And also when you're talking about IDP players, typically guys that are going later in drafts, when you compare it to offensive players, put them all in a draft room. Think about which one you want to have on your roster straight up. Think about what value they provide to your team versus this player that provides value to your team. And there's obviously positional scarcity, but we apply the same exact, I forget the word, but like that factor into quarterbacks. We say there's a lot of quarterbacks that can do what my guy can do in this one quarterback league. There's a lot of people that can do what this DB does in a 2 DB league. And we factor that into the draft costs associated. So I try to work it backwards. I go to the draft price. And one other thing on Dorian Williams, just to point out that I didn't really think about before, but thought about it now. It is technically a new defensive coordinator here. We do have Leslie Frazier's taking that year off in between years. So, that connection that Terrell Bernard had last year with maybe was Leslie Frazier that really wanted him. It's not the same anymore. We have a new room coming in here running that defense. And Sean McDermott will have his voice. I'm sure he had a voice in Terrell Bernard. And that history in the scheme can't be understated. You don't learn that in one offseason, or one summer even. But I do think that's an important factor that we haven't talked about with the Bills really because it's an in-house replacement. But Leslie Frazier is an incredibly talented defensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
He's gone.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I like to chime in on the trading for IDP players. It's super hard, especially if you're sort of blending people that are newer to playing IDP with people that are a little more experienced. One of my favorite trades a couple years ago, I moved Marquez Stevenson, I believe, from the
Bills?
From the Saints. No, wait, who was
Marcus Callaway?
Marcus Callaway, who is getting all this preseason hype, right?
August hero.
Yes, exactly.
Winner.
And I grabbed
Tennessee. Go on.
Yeah, I was able to grab Bobby Okereke, who was still on the Colts at that time with a healthy-ish Shaq Leonard, who I think was still Darius at the time. So, I kind of identified a young up-and-coming linebacker who I believed in, and unloaded a hyped up wide receiver with zero draft capital. I think he was either a 7th rounder or a
I think he was
UDFA.
undrafted.
Yeah, who had never been able to earn targets prior to Michael Thomas getting injured and them losing a bunch of pieces. And he was getting propped up simply because of everyone else around him was not going to be playing. Those are the kinds of offensive guys. If you have defensive guys in mind that you like on other teams, to definitely unload. Now, so the preseason hype, like this year, although I actually do kind of like this guy a lot more than a Marcus Callaway, but a Justin Ross, let's say. He's a big name for a lot of really deep dynasty players. If you have him and held on to him and you want to go, let's even say Bobby Okereke right now, you might be able to make that trade. And Bobby O's got way more value now than he did a couple of years ago as second fiddle in Indianapolis, right? He's the number one for the Giants with nobody even around him. And he is a good player. So like that's the kind of thing, like try and find like the hype guys. And if let's say you're weak in IDP players, those are the kinds of moves you can kind of make right now. Go off hype, these especially wide receivers with not great draft capital who are kind of being buzzed about simply due to their situation. Maybe people have left, things like that. And you can get some top tier or ascending IDP players for those kinds of guys. So that's probably my best piece of advice. But it is very, very difficult to trade offense for IDP or vice versa.
So let me ask both of you guys, when you're looking for a trade partner, so like the other human behind the screen, are you checking their roster and are you making your target based off of like the roster, who you think you can get, and then picking out like the players you offer up based off like what would fit into their roster? Does that play into your decision making?
It's a tango. I mean, that's what you're looking. It takes two. It takes two to tango in a trade. You're not going to be able to send one over that the other one doesn't want to do. So you got to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of the other team because you want to fill their weaknesses because you need to give them a reason to accept the trade. It's difficult sometimes to find out what they perceive to be a weakness and one, maybe they like a guy significantly more than you do. But you look at that, and I'll go even a step further, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I scrolled back through months of text back to my startup draft in like April to see. I remembered somebody saying how jealous they were that I got Brian Asamoah. And I've kind of cooled on him in the last few months. I've done a little bit more research. I'm a little bit more worried about what Brian Flores is going to do with that second linebacker. And I searched all through those texts to see who said that. And I sent them an offer. I haven't received an answer back yet, but that's the type of digging that you can do because people are going to be more, people have their guys. They will overpay for their guys. I might have overpaid. I don't think I overpaid, but I would have overpaid for Dorian Williams if I needed to, because I believe he's going to be that type of guy eventually. So it's really evaluating what they need as well as who they like and taking advantage of that for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the other person's roster, right? I mean, the starting the process is the same exact as if it were just offense and offense. You definitely want to look to see, do they need X position and are they flush in a different position that maybe I'm weaker at, and then try to come to a deal with that. So yeah, 100% you have to go through that same exact process. So for sure. So Nate, you alluded to it earlier. It's been a while since we see you on the screen.
Yeah.
Why don't you let all of our great subscribers know who the heck you are, and some background on the website and what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, well, I'm some scrub you invited off the street. No. I mean, well, probably, but
No.
I am one of the founders of IDP Guys, one of the co-owners of IDP Guys, the website that specializes in IDP content. And my buddy and I, Johnny the Greek, started the IDP Guys podcast some like 6 years ago now. We're getting old. Yeah, so I wanted to come on not only to give this away, but IDP Plus as a podcast has become kind of the new flagship coming around
Yeah.
for us, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a send off, christened or break
Yeah.
the champagne bottle
Right.
over Santa's head.
For sure. I need that for sure every once in a while. You and my wife would get along and probably agree on that.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. It's been a while since I've been on a show or done any of this. Had to kind of clean off the microphone
Good
and all of
dusty
that.
dust.
But it's exciting. So happy
Yeah.
to be here.
So we're turning over a new leaf here. Happy and thrilled to have the support and the foundation that you and Johnny and a host of others have laid down. And we're just, grateful and trying to do our best to take the ball and evolve into the next version of what this awesome site has been and is going to be. And you're still playing a huge role in that and really guiding the ship. And we're just trying to row things along here. So awesome to have you. We're gonna jump into the giveaway. So not only are we giving away an autograph, the Kobe Dean jersey, which again, whoever wins this, please let's talk. Find me on Twitter. It's been up the whole show here. But we're also giving away a few more things. So why don't you tell them what else we're giving away here, Nate?
Yeah, so we're gonna give away some subscriptions to IDP, guys. We've got 2 subscriptions that will be like a year long with a rookie mag, so the combo. So we'll have 2 of those. We're gonna have 2 combos of like this season long subscription with the draft kit. These are more of your redraft style subscriptions, and then we've got some one-off a year-long sub and a season-long sub. So in total, we're giving away 7 items.
Very, very cool. All right, so I'm gonna bring up the wheel of names. I'm scared to death that I'm gonna start lagging, so I'm gonna spin. If you and Mike can call out what the prize is and what the name is, I'm just gonna probably mute myself so it doesn't get choppy here. And hopefully the wheel shows properly. If that starts lagging, just holler at me and I'll try to figure something else out here. But hopefully this works. So I'm gonna bring it up here and we'll get going.
Yeah, and just to stipulate, only 1 prize per person. But based off the giveaway, we had multiple entries. You had up to nine entries per person. So I think total of 283 names if you count all the different entries, and 50 something people. So
talk about all those different names there.
Yeah,
very cool. So yes, this is all you. If you entered, what was it, up to like 8 times, I think, or something like that?
9 total times.
So if you went 9, your name's on here 9 times. If you win, though, one of those will be removed. All right, just one is okay to remove. They can, or should I remove all the names? Do you think?
Well, just if there's any duplicates, you just spin again.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, let's get to it. So first up, what are we going for?
Let's see. First off, we'll do the season-long sub. And Mike, do you want to be the announcer of the name when it appears?
Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. And the winner is, I don't know how long this actually spins. The winner is going to be Matt Resin. Matt Resin, the winner of correct me if you just said, Nate, a season-long pass?
Yeah.
Also, welcome to the IDP, guys, if you're not already, Matt Resin. So good to have you with us.
And if you already have an account, we'll just extend it so that you don't have to pay for a little bit longer.
Stay with us then. Even better.
All right. The number 2, we're going with the year-long sub.
Year-long sub. Good old Subway sub that lasts you a year, 365 days. Here we go. Winner is going to be Tim Greathouse. What a name. I love that name very much, and I love that you're going to be with us for a year, Tim.
All right, so now we're going to do the first of our redraft subscription packages.
Here we go. Spin. We're talking Dynasty nowadays, but we're talking redraft with this one. Redraft pass, season long, going to Natalie Metz. Congratulations to Natalie.
All right, let's go up to the Dynasty package, the 1 year sub plus the rookie mag. We'll get these out of the way here.
1 year sub, rookie mag, Dynasty content, everything you possibly asked for with everything we're talking about nowadays. Spinning that wheel, stopping away, and we get Jerry Rogers. That sounds like a Hall of Famer to me for some reason, right? That's a classic name. That's a strong name, Jerry. It's good to have you on board.
It's Mr. Rogers. Come on.
Mr. Rogers, clearly. Yeah, obviously.
All right. So let's go back to that redraft package.
Redraft package here. Number 2, I believe. The second redraft package going out here. Wheel spinning. Stopping on a yellow-greenish name. We got Travers Oliver. Congratulations. Got all that redraft content.
Nice. Back up to the Dynasty sub. This will be the penultimate pick before the giveaway.
Dynasty subscription. All those wonderful Dynasty talks that we have and ranks, ADP, all the good stuff. It's going to Matthew Mullen. Someone I believe I've seen on Twitter a few times, but either way, good to reward a familiar name there.
There we go. And this one's for all the peanuts.
All the peanuts. Nakobe Dean jersey we're talking here?
We're talking
this holding it up.
Right here.
The big Nakobe Dean jersey. When we announced this man was a backup. When we're giving it away, the man is a starter, primed for fantasy greatness. Let's spin that wheel. Dynasty Santa slamming the finger down on the keyboard.
Ooh.
Although it didn't actually spin, so it was a little bit anticlimactic. And here we go. Flagging away. Nakobe Dean, linebacker, number 17 for the Philadelphia Eagles, is going to Sean Lyons. Please contact Dynasty Santa at your nearest convenience to make that trade. But congratulations, Sean Lyons, for the Nakobe Dean jersey. Very happy to have give that jersey away to a very deserving person.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
Holy smokes! Wow, how exciting!
You did it.
I just enjoyed you throwing your hands up in the air.
I was trying to just contribute while being on mute there. I was really scared it was going to start lagging, but I think it came through okay.
It was great.
Awesome.
Very good, very good. All right, well, that concludes my time with you all. I just wanted to kind of get a little screen time, give away some stuff, and I've got it all written down, who won what, and we will get that out to the winners. But you guys have a great rest of your show, and
very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Big Nate.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
See you, Nate.
All righty. And thank you to our founder, Big Nate, for closing down our entire broadcast there after the giveaway. That was pretty awesome.
It was planned. This was structured, everybody. This is not a mistake. This is par for the course. This is part 2.
Old habits die hard, when you're a podcast veteran like that and you're normally in control, instead of leaving, you're shutting the whole thing down. So it's all right. We'll give them a pass. It's our little initiation tactic here.
On the bright side, we get to keep going here with some, the guys we liked very much for IDP and people we want to be talking about.
Heck yeah. So we're gonna do some hour guys, 3 to 4 in total, 1 at each level. I'm kind of, just because of the sheer volume of like defensive linemen, I feel like maybe we can hit 2 per each of us there, and then do a linebacker and a defensive back. Could be safety, could be a cornerback. So sounds like you got someone ready to go on your mind. So I will hand the keys to you. You can start with whatever position, and I'll just follow suit here with you.
I'll start in the trenches, and I'll start with this Pittsburgh Steelers logo I got on my
Oh,
chest right now. It's not
okay.
TJ Watt, it's not Cam Hayward. I'm talking about Alex Highsmith, somebody that had his own breakout last season and was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
He has linebacker eligibility because he's a linebacker just like TJ Watt is, because they're defensive linemen. He's an outside linebacker, enjoyed a huge breakout after kind of flirting with it over the last few years since being a third round pick a few years ago. This is a contract season. And
Right.
I like the guy that's across from TJ Watt.
Oh,
We have a
yeah.
lot of years of history where that if the guy is talented enough, we have a lot of production there. We saw it with Bud Dupree, we saw it with Alex Highsmith, and we finally saw it in a sustainable way last year. And what was really burned a lot of people when they had Highsmith last year was just a little bit inconsistency.
Mhm.
And I think TJ Watt's return it'll be such a difference because he was way more productive when he was on the field. He had 8 sacks and 5 tackles for a loss while TJ Watt was playing, and that was across 9 games. So you can't extrapolate that, but if you look at that trend of 8 of his 14 and a half sacks, the vast majority in a shorter amount of the season did come in, games without TJ Watt or
Right.
games with TJ Watt. Sorry. So I think the attention that he takes away, or that TJ Watt takes away, really opens up a lot for Alex Highsmith. And, I expect them to get a contract done before the season, but if they don't, he's on a contract year and he's got a lot to play for. He's got a big, big, big bag of money waiting for him, whether it's in Pittsburgh or elsewhere. So I like taking guys with those type of incentives. I find myself taking him. He's going right around the range I keep looking for my DL2. And I take one early and I wait. And Highsmith seems to always be there. He's still
Yeah.
young. He's got a long career ahead of him. He's a good player. I like taking him.
That's a perfect sort of ascending guy to call out here. I actually think it might be better for his IDP dynasty value if he doesn't stick around in Pittsburgh. I mean, if with TJ Watt still there, he might land somewhere where they're going to play him and unleash him and have way more snap opportunities. So obviously staying would be very good also.
Staying
But
is safe. Leaving is exciting.
right, exactly. And he would have to obviously land with the right team, and hopefully he would get a shot at being the focal pass rusher on that team to be super super excited about. So I think it's kind of all rosy with his outlook here for the future. So that's a great name. I really like that a lot. So a guy I'm going to take here now then. Also on Highsmith, what you were saying about ADP, I want to jump back to that. It feels like he's like yo-yoing too, right? If there's somebody in the draft that really knows him and likes him, yeah, he'll go in a more appropriate ADP. But I feel like he falls sometimes too.
He does.
Now we do a lot on Sleeper, so that might be a product of Sleeper's constantly evolving ADP and rankings and projections that are or are not in there yet. So that might be a casualty of that for when he does fall, but he can fall. So if he does, take advantage of that. We had a great article written here on the site a few weeks ago by Justin Fry about Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher for the Miami Dolphins.
I just pulled that up as the second name.
Yeah.
I love it. Go on.
So I'm going to steal one there from you. Third-year player. I mean, he's on the cusp. So my guys are usually ascending guys, right? There's another guy that's just primed for a breakout. I suggest everyone go check out that article on our site. Justin really dives into stats and has some really great comparisons with some top level edge rushers going into their third year. Again, he's only going into his third year, first round draft capital. He's got tons of help around him as well. Bradley Chubb there, Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer. They've got a very solid front seven there. Just brought in David Long from Tennessee. So, I don't think he'll necessarily be able to have opposing offensive lines pay as much attention to him either, which should bode well and have him finally get into the double-digit number of sacks this year. So his tackles are still, leaves a little bit to be desired. he's not a 100 tackle guy, but if he could break through this threshold of 10 or more sacks, I think we're not really going to care about that, as long as you're playing in a league that appropriately rewards sacks. But yeah, Jalen Phillips is a guy who I think even he's even going round two-ish, end of round two, early round three, if that. There's a lot of people that do like him this year too. So I think he, even at that pretty lofty ADP, that's in IDP only leagues, I think he can return significantly on the investment there. So I'm all for reaching. I don't usually like recommending reaching for just about anyone, but this year, early second, mid second, I would say snag him up for sure.
I'm with you entirely, and I think a lot of it comes down to the usage, where he was graded so well as a pass rusher, but he wasn't asked to pass rush that much, and it was ridiculous because every time he did, he was
Doesn't
producing.
make sense.
But they drop him into coverage, and
Ugh,
I have faith that someone like Vic Fangio knows better than that when he takes
figures
over
it
this
out.
year. And it's
Mhm.
I believe, and I've already put my money where my mouth is on this one. I think the
Nice.
Dolphins win the AFC East, and I think it comes because of the big changes they made on defense. You have Jalen Ramsey, you have Xavier Howard
Yeah,
back there. You add, I love the addition of
they're
Deshaun
going for
Elliott
it.
to that
Mhm,
safety room. You have Javon Holland still there.
mhm,
You add David Long in the middle. You still have
mhm.
Christian Wilkins. You have a breakout in Jalen Phillips coming through. Bradley
Yeah.
Chubb has an offseason with this team. There's a lot of reasons why the Dolphins are going to be a very talented team and take
Yeah,
another step forward from the step up they made last year. And Jalen Phillips is going to be a big reason why.
absolutely. Shoot, if you're still playing team defense, I know we're kind of anti that here, but I mean, I'm probably going to be taking the Dolphins in every league because I feel like they're still kind of floating under the radar there
Oh, totally.
for
100%.
fantasy team defense. I don't really know where they finish offhand because I'm not playing in as many of those leagues anymore. But like, I don't know, just all those names you just threw out there. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be my fantasy defense in all my redraft leagues this year, pretty much.
Yeah, sure. They might not have the name brand at inside
Uh-huh.
linebacker, but if David Long is healthy, they're going to be very
Yeah,
good. And if not, they can cover that up at middle linebacker. Good
yeah,
teams can survive without a great middle linebacker. Jerome Baker is
yeah.
okay.
Right. He
He's
can.
okay.
Yeah,
He's not what everyone wanted him to be, but he's okay. And everyone's favorite Channing Tindall. Maybe you get something there.
yeah.
But either way, I'm not, if that's your weak spot on your entire defense, I feel
Yeah.
pretty good about it.
That secondary at corner and safety is awesome. Brandon Jones, hopefully coming back
Yeah.
healthy,
And he
might
could
be
help
a
the linebacker too. Like that, he is
right.
essentially a linebacker at this point.
He's one of those hybrid guys, exactly.
Yeah.
Might be a little slow to start the season. I don't know that he'll be even ready for week one, but
Yeah.
he should be playing at some point in the year. And he'll be a great addition when he's 100% healthy to that group too. So yeah, sorry for stealing one of your guys
No,
there.
completely. I'm happy we're on the same page here, and it seems like everyone is. So we'll see how his ADP keeps climbing. I'll throw out another defensive lineman. I talked about outside linebacker before. This time I'm going to talk about a true defensive end. First round pick just a few years ago, Kwity Paye. I have
Okay.
been on the Kwity Paye train. I was on it all of last year, and it was frustrating because every time the train got
Yeah.
going, he got hurt. And
Uh-huh.
what that does is really drove his ADP into the ground for this year because he was pretty good last year when he was out
Yeah.
there. Can I
Right.
interest
True.
you? Can I interest you, Steve, in 19 pressures and I believe it was 10 TFLs in 12 games played? That's
I think that's something I might be interested in.
that's good. That's some good stuff right there. The problem was that he got 6 sacks on the year because he was playing
Right.
hurt half the time, and that didn't work out. But I think if I presume health, I think he could take a major step forward, and I think he would have last year if he just stayed healthy. I think the Colts defensive line needs someone like Kwity Paye to take that step. Yannick Ngakoue is not there anymore.
Right.
Kwity Paye is ready, man. I really believe he was drafted very highly for a reason. He's a good player. He showed it at times last year. It was just health. And I think
Mhm.
because he didn't have the biggest rookie season and because he was hurt last year and it was a little bit frustrating, people have kind of left him for dead. And I think that's a mistake because I think he could very well be in for let's call it an 8 to 10 sack season that gets really boosted by TFL numbers because he is a ferocious player on the defensive line.
Oh, no. I'm trying to look up his ADP right now because I think everything you mentioned from last year is being reflected in his
I agree.
ADP.
I'll search for it as well. We'll see who gets there first. But
Yeah, I know
yeah.
I'm probably driving him up even because every mock that I'm in that we're collecting this data from, I'm usually grabbing him at like super late as like my DL2 or 3. Um but
And
yeah.
that's exactly where I want to take him. Like if I can get him as my DL3, that's fantastic.
Okay, he's going DL24, which I thought he was a little
Oh
lower than
wow. Okay,
that.
that's a lot higher than I thought it was, but I'm
Me
still in at
too.
that price.
But you know what? That's still behind. This is crazy. Some of these names, we might have to source some better drafters here because you know who that's behind? The likes of Trey Hendrickson, yuck. I'm talking just defensive lineman. Dietrich Wise for the
That's
Patriots. You know,
disgusting.
he lived off of 3 or 4 monster games
Monster
and gave
you know,
you nothing the rest of the
so
year.
annoying to talk about on the newsletter every week and just say I'm not that interested because he'll do this in 5 weeks and nobody's going to play him for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and like that's where I want him to be because on a per game basis, like that's the price you pay for true upside. And somebody at 24 years old, 3 years into the NFL, is starting to find his form. I'm willing to pay DL24 to get that type of upside. Dietrich
Yeah.
Wise doesn't have upside to be that because he's too inconsistent.
Exactly. I want all the
Yeah,
upside at defensive
exactly.
lineman.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson, another. I think Trey Hendrickson is a little bit undervalued right now, honestly, because I don't know. I think he's still a good player. I know they drafted Miles Murphy, but I think that's a Sam Hubbard replacement. But my point is, if I bring it up, even if I like him, Trey Hendrickson is tapped out. We have
You
the
still
best of
want
Trey
pay.
Hendrickson. He's done. He's done his best. The best is still ahead of Kwity Paye, and it could very well come in 2024.
So let's do a quick
2023.
couple.
Damn it.
Close enough.
Every time.
A little would you rather. So Kwity Paye or Greg Rousseau?
Paye. I think listen, I like the upside of Rousseau, but we haven't seen nearly enough for me to feel as good as people are touting him to be.
Right there with
He's
you.
not done anything. He really hasn't. He's been so disappointing for me. Long arms.
Kwity Paye or Dexter Lawrence?
I like Dexter Lawrence, and I do trust that type of safety. Like, it depends. If I'm shooting for upside here, it depends on who my DL1 is.
Okay.
If I have a Nick
True.
Bosa, I'm gonna shoot for the stars for my DL2 because why not? He will make up for it. But if I want to go a little bit safer, I'll go Dexter Lawrence because my inside guy will get a few tackles at TFL, and he could get a sack to make it a very good week. But he'll have a good week more weeks than not.
Yeah,
so it's very much roster construction for me there. But if I'm shooting for upside, what do you pay? Because Dexter Lawrence is not going to do what he did last year.
If you punted on defensive line and you need your first defensive lineman, I could see the argument Dexter Lawrence would be a safer option probably. He's kind of like Christian Wilkins light.
Exactly.
He's another ascending young but interior guy. So his sacks are going to be even more sporadic and probably less frequent. So exactly that. Yeah, if you've got a rock solid option as your one, Paye I want as my number 2. If you've kind of punted, I would take Dexter Lawrence first, but that means you could come back around and get Paye as your number 2 potentially.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you could do there. I really like that. That's another good name. I wish I was butting heads here with you like I'm Dorian Williams.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Not on one of my names. I know you're gonna like one of them, but yeah, I'll throw something out here. Maybe I can butt heads with you.
No, Paye. I like I said, I vividly remember in most of these mocks that I'm participating in, I was consistently getting him. For me, it was always Josh Sweat and Kwity Paye almost back to back.
I know your love for Josh Sweat.
Yeah. I couldn't use him, but I'm actually going to go with kind of I feel like forgotten guy. He switched teams this year. He's not like a super exciting name, but I think he's going to give you that mix of sort of consistency from a tackle floor with some sack upside potential. and it's Zach Allen on the Denver Broncos.
I can't argue against you here. You're picking my guys. I was such a Zach Allen guy last year. You know this. I talked you into Zach Allen.
I know.
Go. I just want to argue with you, man. Okay, go on.
So they, I know I don't want to contradict myself and say, I was talking about Marcus Callaway. Now, offense and wide receiver are a lot different, right, than the defensive lineman. But so Zach Allen comes to the Broncos with the departure of a Draymond Jones. An old dinosaur in Randy Gregory is still hanging around. Really just not a lot of talent left, and he's kind of one of these guys that can play interior as well as on the end, so he gives you all this versatility, which is why I think the tackle floor is going to be there, because of his versatility, being able to flip inside, play the run, as well as rush the passer from the outside and the inside. So I really think, and he's a guy who's just, he's not an exciting name. He's been in the league for a little while. He kind of just broke out only last year in Arizona, and now got paid in Denver. So just one of these kind of under the radar guys that I think you can snag pretty late. And I think he's going to be just a rock solid weekly option. He's probably not going to give you many dud games. Yeah, his ceiling might not be as high as others, but he could easily approach double digit sacks this year with like 60, 70 tackles. So that's a heck of a defensive lineman for you.
That's a borderline top 5 play. It's like that if that's in his realm of outcomes, and it is, because he was wildly productive with Arizona last year. And so and the problem was he just didn't play a ton of games. He missed 5 games. He only played 13.
Yeah.
But he had I'm getting the number here correct. Yeah, he had 20 QB hits and 10 TFLs in 13 games. And you want to talk about regression metrics here, 20 QB hits only resulted in 5.5 sacks.
Right.
That's not a correct ratio normally.
Right.
You normally see 8.5 sacks with 20 QB hits, or maybe 8 sacks, 7.5, something like that. And a 3-sack swing is a massive swing.
Oh yeah.
And we're not saying he's going to hit 20 QB hits again. He probably won't. But even if he hits 15, he hits 6 sacks, and he still repeats his TFLs, he's still going to reward on draft investment because nobody seems to want him. So yeah, it's guys that get left under the radar there that I think it's so important to bring up. It's a great name you threw out there.
Awesome. All right, why don't we go? So wait, that was 2 from each of us, right?
That was 2 defensive, two
slash edges.
Yeah.
So now if we want to flip to more pure, like, quote unquote, inside linebackers, who do you got there?
Okay, so it's a little bit difficult for me because I don't want to plant my flag this early, but
It's
I talked about it
tough
last.
this
Yeah,
early.
I don't. So I'm emphasizing with that, but I talked about it in last week's newsletter, and I do believe in this opportunity. Azeez Al-Shaair.
Yes.
Listen, I talked. It was, and if you're not subscribed to the IDP guys newsletter, link is to do so is in my Twitter bio at Michael_Sicoli.
Best newsletter in the industry.
Oh, you're too kind. But the point here is Azeez Al-Shaair was it was kind of left for dead, and I think the entire IDP community is reviving him like
he was for me.
Where he's rising up rapidly nowadays. But for now, at the ADP he's currently at, which is LB3 at range, he has such a great opportunity to step into a very productive role in Tennessee. I'm not offended by him not breaking into a Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw linebacker room in San Francisco. And when he was asked to step up, he was great.
Sure.
We loved him for fantasy. We want him on a per game basis. The problem has really been health and opportunity, neither of which has been crazy steady. But if he can do that in Tennessee, it's being baked into his price. He will be an every down linebacker. Because Monty Rice.
There's nobody else there.
Monty Rice is not good. I don't even know if I can truly name the other ones. I don't know if Dylan Cole is still there, but it doesn't matter because they're terrible.
Yeah.
So that opportunity is massive for him. And on a dynasty level, he's young. He is like 25, 26 years old. There's a lot of football left for Al-Shaair, and he could really cash in this year with a big one. So I think he's a big candidate to do what Rashaan Evans did last year. Maybe it's not beyond 1 year, but he could be unbelievably productive in a 1 year sample size here.
Yeah, 100%. He was completely written off for me in San Francisco. I was managing our dynasty rankings last year, and I took him off completely. We were
Fair.
ranking 800 players, and I was
Just
like,
not
he's
no opportunity. You're a
I
linebacker 3 behind the best linebacker duo in football. You're not going to get on the field.
exactly. I am still a big Greenlaw guy, right?
Same.
But I thought he was going to stick around also in San Francisco and just, fill in when needed. And is that a guy you need to roster? No, you go grab him off waivers. But now this new opportunity changes everything. Could anyone have predicted that he was going to land in Tennessee when they
Where
were
they
going to
add
move on
nobody.
from David Long and he just walks into a humongous LB1 role? If you say you could predict that, God bless you. But yeah, I think he just walks into this incredible opportunity. So no, Dylan Cole actually is somehow in Chicago, but
Okay.
Chance
So
Campbell,
even more so. Zach
it's
Cunningham is
Monty
gone.
Rice.
David
Yeah,
Long is in Miami. It's
the only other
it's a
names
new room
are
for everybody, pretty much outside of Monty Rice. And
yeah.
Aziz Al-Shaair is easily the
No,
most
they're
proven of
terrible.
everybody.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's Monty Rice. There's Chance Campbell, who's like a 6th or 7th rounder, tore his ACL last year, didn't play. It's literally no one. I mean, if Al-Shaair goes down, they're screwed. And
Waiver wire show will be digging.
maybe Rashaan Evans finds a job there. That's
Yeah.
But I feel like this is just going to be one of these magical seasons for a guy like Al-Shaair.
It always is.
Yeah, and then next year, who knows what happens because he's only on a 1-year deal, right? So, but don't invest too heavily maybe in dynasty, but man, he could easily be a top 12 guy this year. We see turnover at about over 50% rate. I think it's closer to like 60, 75 who ends up in the top 12 finishers year over year linebacker. He's easily one of these guys that could do that. I mean, he's going to be on the field all the time. We don't particularly expect Tennessee's offense to be, that great, right? So defense going to be on the field probably a lot. So, that's a home run name right there that a lot of people definitely need to hear and invest in if we're talking redraft. Hell yeah, I will punt linebacker, load up my
I'm
offense.
definitely putting some emphasis on redraft thoughts with that. And
Yes.
I'll throw it out as well. I mean, David Long would have been,
Yeah.
a linebacker 1 if he was just healthy. You just
Right.
can't because he's undersized, really. But
Mhm.
and we're asking the same question of him in Miami, but that's another topic for another
Yeah.
show. But that role is the same that Aziz Al-Shaair now has. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it work. It just needs to have a healthy body plugged in there.
Exactly. Yes. Total home run name. All right. My guy linebacker is going to be, and I think he's pretty popular with a lot of people, a second year guy, Atlanta Falcons, big Troy Anderson, SEN. Everybody, let's try to nail this into our heads. For
I'm
the
doing my
Twitter
best to
people,
nail him.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal, I guess, but his name it's not Son, it's Sen, SEN. So for all my writers out there, for all my Twitter people out there, let's try to show the man some respect and spell his name correctly. So the big man, what was he converted from in Wyoming?
Quarterback or tight end?
Something on offense.
It was Montana
right?
State.
Okay.
It was wild. I'll vet it for you, but it was weird. The gist is he's a crazy athletic guy.
Yeah, he converted from offense, and like guys like that, just it feels like. So he converted from offense and was a 2nd-round pick. So that tells you something about his talent. We did see him, come on later in the year last year. He took They gave Michael Walker a shot, right? Because he'd been there a little longer. He was okay. Showed up for IDP stats. Probably not so much for real football, which is why he lost his job. And then Anderson even came in and didn't really like blow us away with his opportunity, but was solid. But this year, no more Rashaan Evans. Michael Walker might be second fiddle, but there's still time for them to bring someone else in. Honestly, I probably would want him to be the second fiddle because he's so bad that Anderson will just have way more opportunities to maybe clean up missed tackles and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, you can probably plug in Rashaan Evans stats from last year with some extra juice on top of it, because Anderson is just so much better of an overall athlete. I think we get maybe some more splash plays. Maybe they send him after the quarterback some. I could see him coming away with a few interceptions, kind of like peak like Logan Wilson from a couple years ago, where he was just finding the ball in his hands with picks and recoveries and things like that. He feels like a better version of Logan Wilson, to be completely honest. So he's a guy that I'm in love with. And again, for a redraft, I'm going to be taking Max Crosby, Nick Bosa, all the defensive linemen, all the offensive players. And if I could grab guys like Shair, Long, Anderson in like the double-digit rounds of mixed leagues, I will absolutely be in love with that, because I think they're all primed for breakouts this year.
Yeah, and I love that type of strategy. And Troy Anderson was a quarterback, running back, and fullback in college prior to becoming a linebacker. So that's the type of versatility and flexibility that the Falcons liked in him. And you talked about Mykal Walker was incredibly productive as a linebacker too for IDP. He just wasn't that great for the Falcons.
Right.
And when we're talking about what the Falcons want, you're saying they want him as the linebacker too. I don't even think they do. But what they do want is Troy Anderson to be their guy. That's why they spent a second-round pick on him. And yeah, I'm very in it. And I'll quickly transition to my other linebacker that I'm excited about, because it's also in Atlanta. I'm talking Caden Ellis here. That's who I think is the linebacker too. That's somebody that I was so on board with last year. Yeah. Listen, he was great with the Saints last year. He was so good when Pete Werner was hurt. He stepped in. He racked up tackles. He racked up sacks. He racked up PFLs. He did everything for that New Orleans Saints defense, and they paid him to come over with the same defensive coordinator, Ryan Nielsen, to do the same in Atlanta. And I think he's going to have such a great tackle season, but he's also going to add in 4 to 5 sacks. He's going to add in tackle for a loss numbers. I think he's going to have a lot of the non-tackle numbers that Troy Anderson won't have. And I'm just so excited because I think he's a great player with a history in this system. And again, we're talking about Mykal Walker being the guy that could take him off the field. If we're talking about the middle of the field, not going to happen. And they're completely different players. I think Ellis will spell Bud Dupree at times even and work on the edge. But and even then, Bud Dupree is not the pinnacle of health nor talent at this point of his career. So
they have a bunch of just jags there.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Caden Ellis. They paid him $20 million. He's same system. I'm very much in on him.
That's an awesome call. I totally spaced on him. I'm so happy he was a waiver wire gold last year, right?
Yes, and he was.
I have him in a few dynasty leagues carried over. I'm really excited to be able to plug him in as like my third, starting IDP linebacker. I think he's gonna smash in that position. He's another one to be really, really excited about. All right, does that mean I have to come up with another linebacker?
You don't have to if you wanted to. I wasn't entirely sure, and I just jumped the gun because I need an excuse to talk about Caden Ellis as much as I can.
Let me just flick through the ADP because I know there's some names here that I definitely do like.
We'll do one DB. We won't do 2 DBs. I'll ease it up there.
Good old DBs are people love them.
How about this? How about I frame it to you instead of trying to find it? How about this?
Give me some would you rathers.
I want to talk, and I saw it on Twitter today, the Drew Sanders situation with Denver.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious on how you're valuing Singleton and Jewell.
Oh,
that's what I want to hear. I think that's a big talking point right now. Everybody, everyone loved what Singleton did last year. He got the contract extension.
Yeah.
Jewell was also really good as well, but I'm curious.
All right, I'm definitely team Jewell. I just don't think I can't. Maybe I don't know.
You're burnt from Philadelphia, Singleton?
A little bit, right? I mean, he's just not. Maybe he's gotten better, but
he has gotten better. To be fair, I was on the same train.
Yeah. I mean, Jewel, if you do points per game in almost any format, he was like a top 5 guy, I'm pretty
He was
sure.
great.
He just fought some health issues, and that sort of opened up the opportunity. Remember, Singleton wasn't starting early in the year. He had lost his job at camp, and then Jules' injuries and other people's injuries led to him seeing the field, and he did what he did. So, but they're both older, so yeah, neither I'm like super excited about for Dynasty. I think they're definitely sell candidates but if I had to choose one, I think it's Jewel. If we have to do MFK, marry, bang, kill, I think I'm marrying Jewel, banging Drew Sanders, and killing Alex Singleton.
You know the fantasy version of that is keep, trade, cut.
I'm
glad we're going with marrying Drew Sanders here on this show. We can clip that, post it on socials or something here. Grant, please let's take notes here because Steve's going to marry Drew Sanders. But listen, on the Denver situation here, I'm somewhat in agreement, which is annoying because I'm trying to find something to fight you on here. But I like them both.
You sound like you're a Singleton guy.
Listen, Singleton is going to do what he's going to do, which is going to be highly efficient at tackles. They paid him this offseason, so that means he's going to get the snaps. We know he's going to be efficient. So Singleton is going to be productive.
Yeah.
But we're not getting him at a value anymore. We're not getting him off the waiver wire. We're not drafting him late. And that's where I'm willing to take Josie Jewell, who was somebody that was, like you said, as productive, if not more, while he was healthy. And I do think the time for Drew Sanders is next year. I think if we see Drew Sanders, I mentioned on Twitter today to Randy Johnson, or a fellow IDP guy, I wouldn't be surprised if down the line they try Drew Sanders out at outside linebacker. He played a little bit of it in college. He's 6'5". He would have to bulk up a little bit more, add 10 pounds or so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being a Zaven Collins type of situation, who I also am very excited to see on the edge role that he's practicing in. But again, another topic for another show. So I think the time for Drew Sanders will come. I just don't think it's going to happen at all at inside linebacker this year. Yeah. I think Jewell is a lot more safe than people are talking about.
Yeah, we talked Drew Sanders in one of the previous shows, like how he's confusing. Is he going to go the Baron Browning route and start playing with his hand in the dirt maybe? Or like you said, outside linebacker. He's a mystery. I think he's got the name recognition, which means you're not getting him at a value. There's plenty of league mates that you're going to play with who know Drew Sanders and like Drew Sanders, and
he's very popular right now.
And it might even reach for Drew Sanders still. So that's what he's a conundrum. That whole
I'm
that
out
whole
at
defense.
Cost. At cost. The hype has exceeded his value.
I agree. Another third rounder, right? Like, yeah, you're not going to get probably anything from him this year unless, of course, injury bugs bite again. So, yeah, he's a tough one for sure. D-backs now, right?
I'll throw one out here. And listen, I already know we're not going to disagree on this one. And you know who I'm going to say. Let's say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Amani Hooker.
Oh, my God.
You knew. Okay. Listen, Amani Hooker, I've always been on the train, or not always, but like I've gotten on the train the last few weeks when I dove into it with the newsletter.
Yeah.
He was very productive when he was asked to be last year. And we had a lot of stints where he had big tackle games that we just didn't really talk about because we were talking about Kevin Byard and we're talking about who's starting at linebacker that week or something like that. And he was reasonably productive. His points per game was similar to the Ryan Neals of the world that we loved those roles last year.
Yeah.
So he enters this season as a very clear-cut starter. He should be healthy. We have an even more questionable linebacker room that I touched about before.
Yeah.
And you have a very questionable defense as a whole that will probably be on the field quite a lot. They have a good run defense, but that secondary is still very susceptible. So I think Amani Hooker is going to be a nice middling DB2, low-end DB2 maybe, but either way he's being drafted, as DB3.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could spend a 10th round pick on on L'Jarius Sneed for no reason, or you could spend an 18th round pick on Amani Hooker. So I'm gonna wait and do that.
So Kevin Byard is still technically there. There's been all this
Not
talk.
happy.
He wants out. I could see, if another team has a significant injury at that position, they are probably going to do whatever they can to ship Byard to a team for whatever they can get for him, which would leave Hooker with a bunch of just the guys, similar to what's surrounding Al-Shaair. So, yeah, you said it. I'm a huge Amani Hooker guy. And again, it's because of the value. It is someone in our mock drafts. I usually don't take any DBs until my final 2 picks. And frequently there are Amani Hooker and my guy that I'm going to touch on, Big Marcus Williams from the Baltimore Ravens. Now, everyone is in love with the Kyle Hamilton train. He flashed and he's in a full-time role. No more Chuck Clark. However, Geno Stone was playing ahead of Kyle Hamilton last year at times when Marcus Williams, unfortunately, was battling some injuries. So 2 guys we're talking here that are our guys that need to figure out and not have the injury bug bite them. They need to figure out their health situations. But, man, they can play 15, 16 games this year. I mean, they're going to be absolute steals at where you can get them in your draft. So now Marcus Williams kind of lived on some big plays, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There's a role for that in your fantasy roster.
Yeah, you want that, right? Because you're probably not going to be like me and rolling with a guy like Marcus Williams as a number 1 or number 2 starter. He's going to be a bench depth guy for a lot of people. But, man, you're going to find yourself playing him a lot, I think, this year. And yeah,
he's your week-winning IDP flex. That's what he can be.
Exactly.
He can drop 30 points on a week with a pick 6 because he's really damn good in coverage. And his tackle numbers last year were, I think, higher than we thought they would be as well.
Exactly.
We had several games of 8, 9, 7 tackles. A lot, plenty of performances where he was, like outshining Kyle Hamilton. I love Kyle Hamilton. I think he's going to have a great season. He's playing more down low, but Marcus Williams does what he does incredibly well. They paid him to do that. And he was such a hard person for me to evaluate for this year. And I asked Mason Riney about it on Twitter the other day. I was like, this is some guy that I'm trying to get my hand on because he was so productive, but nobody seems to want him, and it's throwing me off. So he's the type of guy you want when you pair with your tackle safety. You have the stability. I want the home run shot with Marcus Williams. So he can give you 2 points. He can give you 25. That both are possible.
He's the Kwity Paye to your Nick Bosa, right? To your whoever you decide to draft as kind of your stud. I mean, shit, I wouldn't mind having Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams as my starters. Sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Why not? Go crazy with it.
Because you figure one of them is going to go off every week, and the other is probably going to give you a solid base to chime in there. So and Ravens, bulked up on offense. Could be in line for some shootouts. Their defensive line has never been anything to write home about. Yeah, they have Roquan in the middle, but he's not going to soak up everything. And especially
Ojabo.
Oh, yes.
David Ojabo's back.
I think he's both of our guys.
I think everyone's rooting for him, though. Everyone's rooting for David Ojabo.
I know. But, yeah, you're going to see, if the offense stays healthy and does what a lot of people expect them to do, the new offensive coordinator there, everyone's super excited about that. You're gonna see defense need to go try to keep the opposing offenses at bay during some shootouts. So I just think there's a lot of opportunity there for Marcus Williams. He just doesn't carry the big name. You'll be able to get him for free. Everyone's focused on Kyle Hamilton. Like I said, I think there's nothing wrong with starting both of them. I think that would be a fun fantasy defensive backfield to have. That's for sure.
Just figure out the bye week and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's easy for DBs. That's that's super easy. There it is. There's our guys. That was a lot of fun. I want to say congratulations to the winners of the subscriptions and for the Nakobe Dean jersey. Throw for people that might be new and didn't participate in that contest, we're gonna be doing more. We got to get to 2,000, and then we got to get to 5,000 and 10, and keep going. So we're gonna keep giving away cool stuff in addition to subscriptions to the site. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Usually Matt does this for me. I bumble and stumble through the selling of our company here, but I'm doing my best, and I think we have a really great group. Mike, you put out the newsletter. Like I said, when I say best in the industry, I'm not just saying that to like fluff you up. Like you go so in depth. You do such a great job of highlighting other people as well as contributing awesome content yourself. It's very refreshing and just a great newsletter. So everyone definitely sign up for that for sure.
I appreciate it. And we are hitting that tough point of the year. I won't lie. July is tough
until camp starts.
It's starting right now. I am digging for headlines for everybody out there so we know what's going on, because let me break some news to you. There's no football going on right now. So
exactly.
I'm trying my best to fill those headlines. So either way, I drop a few articles every week in there. I have several links to other content. So yeah, be sure to check out the newsletter for sure. Inbox every single Wednesday morning.
Great. All right, tell the fine people where they can find you.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me. Twitter's my source of everything, my bread and butter.
Nice.
At Michael__Sicoli. You got 2 underscores there because I was too late to get the one with 1. So yeah, check it out there. Again, link to sign up for the newsletter is in my bio on Twitter. So be sure to check it out.
Big Mike _Sicoli, as I like to call you for the very first time ever.
I've heard it before from you. I know.
And you can find myself same. I pretty much live on Twitter. DMs open. Love to help people with their teams. I told someone, I think I posted on Twitter the other day, like at this point, I'm having so much fun doing this, like talking through players, roster strategies, league setups. Like I almost like talking through that stuff than kind of playing these days. Like I just want to dive into and help people create fun leagues and stuff like that. So that's what I'm out here trying to do. Couple quick things for the site. Visit idpguys.org. We've got lots of good free content. If you really want some awesome rankings, ADP data, custom scoring tool where you can drop in your IDP scoring. We'll spit back our projections and who's going to be at the top performers for the year. We've got all that as a subscriber. Our IDP draft kit's being worked on right now, hoping to launch that right in the middle of July, right before all the camps get into full swing. The other thing, check out, we are running free leagues on Sleeper. Our guy, Will, at Skinny Chef, is running some really fun free IDP leagues where if you can beat everyone, we are giving away subscriptions there as well. So we're just in a giving mood right now. We want people to, become part of this journey with us in fantasy football, spreading the good word of IDP, playing IDP. It's so much fun. You've got twice the number of players who can score fantasy points. We're trying to make this thing popular. So hop in those leagues. They're posted on the website, on our Twitter page as well. If you're new or if you just want to join in to try to win a subscription, come play. We're going to have multiple staff members playing in those leagues. So come beat the IDP guys. And everyone take care. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll talk to you next week.